You're watching a review by the Movie Surgeon. Click subscribe if you haven't already for more reviews like this. Hello, Jojo Rabbit is a film about a 10-year-old German boy living in Germany during World War II. He has been brainwashed to believe the Nazi propaganda and has a real drive to be a Nazi. So much so to the point where he has an imaginary friend who is Adolf Hitler. So, during the film, we essentially see the war through the eyes of a 10-year-old boy. He is in the Hitler Youth, but after a nasty accident with a grenade, he is sent back to work in some offices due to his injuries. The story continues until he discovers his mother is hiding a Jewish girl in their house, causing a conflict in his views as he eventually befriends her. And that's the main gist of the story. The film features Taika Waititi as Hitler. He has also directed the film. His resemblance to Hitler is actually weirdly strong in the film. Then there's Sam Rockwell as Captain Klenzendorf, an actor who I usually really like. Then there's Scarlett Johansson as Rosie, who's Jojo's mother. And then there's Rebel Wilson as herself, as she is in every film. I'm not even going to bother to look up what her character was called. She might as well have just been called Rebel Wilson, but with this German accent. And then there was Rowan Griffin Davis as Jojo, as well as other actors. I'll say it now. I got the idea of the film, I understood it's a satire, I don't find it offensive in the slightest, as some critics have, but generally, I really don't like it. Spoilers. From this point onwards, there will be juicy spoilers. I found the opening sequence annoying. It featured lots of outrageous characters and Nazi-related jokes. It seemed like the whole idea behind this scene and the overall film is that it's a film about Nazis, but with humour. In films and history, Nazis are characters who are dark and evil, but in Jojo Rabbit, they're humorous and silly. After about 10 minutes, I just thought, okay, I get this premise, but what else? Is there actually more to this than the fact I'm supposed to be laughing at Nazis? It reminded me of the film Sausage Party, where once you get over the fact that it's animated like a children's film, but actually features sex and swearing, there's not really much else to it. Instead in this film, it's, ha ha ha, Hitler's a silly man and so are the Nazis. Okay, but that's about it. I get they're supposed to be silly because it's from the perspective of a 10-year-old, but for me, it needed to have more than that to make it a good movie. Once Jojo was at home after being injured, he found that there was a Jewish girl in his house. I thought at this point the film would pick up for me, which it did a bit, as this is potentially an interesting plot point for the movie, but not really. It just started to get boring. I wasn't really interested in the relationship between Jojo and the girl. Again, it was just sort of jokes about how Nazis perceive Jews. The girl put on a good performance, but there wasn't really much to her considering she was hiding from Nazis and her parents had been killed in a concentration camp. Saying that, I did really like the scene where Stephen Merchant and the other Nazis came to Jojo's house. He was incredibly well casted, and he reminded me of the Nazi in Raiders of the Lost Ark. The whole sequence where they just kept repeating Heil Hitler every time they greeted someone new was the only time I laughed during the whole movie. I think Merchant's performance was great, he looked creepy and scary and just came across as very funny. I also liked Scarlett Johansson's performance. At times it was quite funny and she just generally put on a good performance. Sam Rockwell was the biggest disappointment for me. He's great in other things I've seen him in, I absolutely loved him in 3 Billboards, but in this he was just very meh. And I think that was just down to how his character was written. He was just a washed up Nazi that just did some funny things. There wasn't really much else to him. And also performance wise, one thing I couldn't look past was the awful German accents or lack of. I understand these characters are meant to be caricatures in a satire, but with Jojo especially, his accent dipped from English like mine to German frequently and it became really distracting. Also, a side note, his friend couldn't act at all, and I have no idea what his accent was supposed to be. It was pretty much just an English accent with some German words. I've seen people go mental about his performance, saying it was amazing. I'm just confused by that. Then when Jojo finds his mother Rosie's body hanged, that was absolutely heartbreaking. It worked in making me feel emotion and absolute sorrow for Jojo. When he's tying up her shoelaces whilst crying, it's really a heartbreaking scene. But it's also extremely out of place with the rest of the film. It catches you off guard, but not in a good way. Then afterwards, Jojo wasn't even too bothered. It only took him a few scenes to sort of just get over that. And that just led me to think the film was just sort of tonally all over the place. The costumes are great, the set design was really nice, the place where they lived was really vibrant and the makeup and costume design was colourful, which is actually refreshing for a World War II film. But the Hitler Youth Camp did have a very Wes Anderson Moonlight Kingdom feel and look to it, and it just felt quite unoriginal. And again, that scene had nothing more than silliness and Nazi jokes, so it just didn't work for me. Since seeing the film and writing most of this review, I've been online looking at different people's opinions, and people have actually generally been losing their minds about the movie, saying it's amazing and the best film they've seen all year. It's going to get Best Picture at the Oscars, and I do feel like a lot of people just blindly love it because they love the director and his previous work. The film was just annoying. It was like an edgy kid at school trying to be funny with dark humour. I understand some critics were upset about making light of such a horrible time in history, but I don't have a problem with that at all. You can make a joke about anything if it's done well. To me, this film was just irritating and lacked any substance other than mocking Nazis. So overall, this film had some good points, but just generally wasn't great for me. But a lot of people in the cinema were laughing their heads off, so what do I know? Go and check it out for yourself and see, and form your own opinion, and support the filmmakers. If I was to rate this film, I'd give it a solid nah out of ooh, nice. Thank you very much for watching. You've been watching a review by The Movie Surgeon. If you'd like to see more reviews like this one, click my face right now to subscribe, and also check out some of my other videos that I've done previously. Thanks. Bye. Goodbye. Goodbye now. Bye.